Why, hello everybody, it's Joycelina and we are back here on the FrilCraft server, and I hit F5 to start recording my intro, and look, there's something behind me. I'll be back for these, but here's some dirt and a wall to protect you. I don't know who it's signed by, but I'm gonna guess that that's Eagle, because he knows that I was on the server getting tons and tons of dirt. So I'm gonna assume that this is also full of dirt. Ta-da! See, look at all the dirt. This will go before you know it, though, but I do appreciate that. Thank you, Eagle. So one of the things I need to do is to cover in all of this area in dirt, and it's going to take lots and lots of it, so I'll take whatever I can get. But the other thing I need to do, and I think I mentioned it before, is that I need to work on a wall design. So what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is use up all that dirt. And then I'm going to go and look at building a wall design in on the Creative FrilCraft server. And that way, the rest of Neighbors United can go take a look, tell me what they think. They can go in, make some changes, do whatever. They can, actually mess it up, add stuff, take down stuff. And then we can build that wall here in our harbor area. So I'm going to get busy, and with that, I will see you in a bit. So as I cover all the dirt, I realize I'm going to have to break down Typort's rock. Very sad. So I've taken a screenshot so I can remember how it's built. I better take another one just in case, so we can replace it, maybe somewhere with more stature at a later date. And we have to move the quartet. Well, they've run a good show, and we might find a place for them in the future, but for now, adios. It's been a good time. Good night, folks. Boy, there has been a lot of terraforming going on here, or actually just covering up the grounds around here. But I got to this place right here, and it has me thinking about what Typort and I talked about, wanting to have a gradual kind of climb up into this area. So now that I'm here, I have to start worrying about what that terraforming might look like. And so now it really is a matter of kind of building the terrain up so that I can then cover it with the dirt. Especially through here, we have some holes. I don't know if this led to a cave or if it's just kind of pits, or if somebody came through early on and took some resources out of here. Not sure. But we're going to go ahead and clean some of that up and try to figure out what this incline is going to look like. And this was an example that back when, probably several weeks ago, Typort and I kind of discussed about what that gradual climb might look like. We don't want it too tall, because the harbor area is not that big to have too much of an incline, and then to come back down to about the ground level back where the wall is going to be. So I'm going to begin working on that, and I'll bring you back once we've kind of figured out what this is going to look like. Well, we have managed quite the transformation. I filled in the whole area. I've topped it all with dirt so that we have this nice green look. Well, it's kind of that brownish green, so it's not a bright green like you'd see in the plains, but it is much better than all that orange. I truly like how that's turning out. There's still a couple of areas where it looks like we need to fill in and cover the orange along in our harbor area, but I think for now I'm not going to worry about that. You'll also see I have the area for the tower and the inn and the warehouse kind of still planned out, although that's always subject to change. We'll see what happens. And with that, I think I'm going to work next. You'll see I kind of have this abrupt edge here, and that's because I didn't want to go all the way up to the wall until I know that the wall is going to be finished. And so what I'm going to do next is we're going to head off and go to the creative world, where I can begin working on what I think the wall is going to look like. So I'll see you in the creative world. When I log into the creative world for the first time, and this is what I see. Clearly people have been on, and there's lots of zombie pigmen. Quite interesting. There's a lot of people also staring up into the sky. I don't know what it is. What's up in the sky, people? What's up in the sky? I don't understand. Father Ilioth looking up in the sky. And then over here, the farmer looking up in the sky. Amazed by a beacon, apparently. I don't know how this all works. Okay, well, I've not been in the creative world before, clearly. I'm just checking things out. A diamond block out of nowhere. Somebody working on a wall design for their dock harbor. Ooh, I really like this. Very nice. What's this say? Hey, hey back. What do you think? Love it. Very nice. What's over here? The front of a house? Oh, look at how nice that looks. That is an expensive one. All the iron that you might need. Of course, we have tons of iron at spawn. All the iron you could ever want. So that's actually not a bad little design there. That is really cute. Loving that. Checking out anything else? I like this kind of showing up the wall here. A nice house design. I wish people would put their names on it so we knew who was doing what. How cute is this? Is it decorated on the inside? It doesn't say. Gumbies! Gumby ones. Very nice, Gumby. Little spider web. Guess no one's lived in it for a while. Little grave marker, looks like, or a rock. Interesting. Very nice. Anything else? Oh, look. Little campfire over here. Someone's made a little house. Just inside a cave. Well, this is great. So let's go find a place. And I can work on a wall design. Somebody's practicing some redstone. Or is this, what is this? Oh, FrilCraft working on his mailbox. Post office. Pretty neat. Okay, let's go off a little ways so we're out of people's way to an area we can flatten out. Yeah, over here should be fine, right? This should be fine. Okay, I'm gonna flatten this area out and begin working on some designs. So the first step in designing a build is really coming up with what material you want to use. So I've popped out most of the brick variants, the stone variants over here, as well as some andesite, polished andesite, some of the cracked stone brick, and the decorative block there, and some smooth stone. Also making sure to include all the variations, so the block, the slab, the stairs, and the wall when appropriate. I also chose these two wood types because my personal opinion, I don't like the oak. It's not rich enough for me. It's a little too yellow, so I prefer the dark oak and the spruce when coming to look at the different wood types. Those are my favorite. Oh, and I had to kill a chicken. This area is just spawning animals like you wouldn't believe. The next thing I had to take a look at was the block type, like the accent block, and what kind of accent color we're going to use on this material. So the first thing I thought of was red to kind of match with Spike. So kind of taking that dragon theme and putting it on there and putting it in the buildings. That's a possibility. I was also thinking of this green because it goes so nicely with the mossy look. So I know I'm going to do mossy at least towards where the water is. I may not do it throughout the wall because it doesn't make sense as it's going through closer to drier areas, but at least in that part that's near the harbor having that be that mossy color would be pretty. And so using that same accent green to go along with this. Now my caution on this, and one of the things I'll have to determine is we're in the Badlands. So we've put grass over the Badlands, but it's not going to be this color grass. It's that kind of brownish color that, well, you can only see what it's going to look like when you're in the Badlands. So the last one I took a look at was possibly the orange terracotta, just because we have so much of it from all of the digging out that we've done and terraforming. So I've got blocks and blocks and blocks of this. So that might be something else that we use. I also wanted to set up just a couple of different decorations, just in case I use them. I've got my lantern, some iron blocks. You never know how you might want to use some armor stands in the build, and then also some anvils. Because we have the iron farm at spawn, getting iron for to use anvils as a decorative block is not that big of an ask, right? We talked about that a little bit when I showed off some of the builds here in the creative world. So the second part, so that's step one. Step two is kind of coming up with your layout, and that's what I have done over here. So we know we're going to have a gate area, and so I've tried to figure out what was an appropriate size given how long our wall area is going to be. And it's probably, I don't have the blocks specifically, but I think our wall area is going to be a little more than double this at most. So I think this is going to be something where we might have 2 or 3 more of these wall segments on each side. So I thought this was going to be a good size gate. Not too big, not too small. Because I think on that world I was having it be much smaller, like maybe a 5 block, which I just don't think would be big enough for any kind of detailing we wanted to do on a gate. So I've got, this is the size of the interior of the gate, what you'll actually see. So you'll see it's 3 wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 across. These blocks indicate where the actual decorative part will come out, how far it will come out. So we're going to have at least this much space where the wall is going to be coming out, at least this part. So this is the interior gate. This is going to be the size of the actual, where the actual wall will be. Because on top of this, we're going to have a walk space, and that walk space also needs to be 3 blocks wide. So next to that, I'm going to have towers. Well, hello. Why, welcome. What are you selling? Anything interesting? Oh, look, nautilus shells. Very nice. And is that a puffer fish? A bucket of puffer fish. Well, I hope you are enjoying this episode. I need to continue. Yeah, exactly. So on either side of the gate, I have a tower. And so this orange indicates the interior. So I want the interior of the tower to be at least 5 by 5. So these red blocks show where the actual wall is going to be. So we'll be building our wall along these lines. And this is the interior. And then finally, this is the actual wall and the pieces of the wall. So again, I need a walkway at the top. So the top of the wall is going to have a walkway of at least 3 blocks. So my actual wall blocks are going to be along this line where this dark pink, where the magenta wool is indicating. And so that is pretty much the layout for our build. So I'm going to get busy. Hopefully he'll be out of my way most of the time. I'm going to start putting down some blocks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all in just stone brick so that we can see how it's going to be laid out, what it's going to look like. And so once I get done with that, I will be back in a bit. So I finished off just the absolute basic structure. Now this doesn't have any details. It doesn't have any of the additional shape. I needed to get it really kind of to show me what the size was going to be and how things were going to lay out, not only on the exterior, but on the interior. And thank you, Wandering Trader, to kind of give one of the examples, was the size of the opening. I wanted it to be much more realistic and probably in proportion to the other builds that we're going to do within the city or within the harbor area. So I have this, it's currently at 7 blocks. As far as the portcullis that comes down would cover about 7 blocks of area. So what I did is I made the fences, and I actually have them 7 blocks high and the width that they would be. So that really is, if those fences were to be able to be pushed down into the ground, they would cover that space that is open. So that is our portcullis. What I need to do is work on the towers. I need to put the crenellations on the walls. I'd like to do some matriculations, which would cause the towers to be even higher, and they would stick one farther out so that there would be room for arrow slits in here, and then also do some more of the crenellations along the top. So, but what I wanted to do is really kind of understand as the player, where was I going to walk? What was the size of everything going to be? And how was I going to manage that? So hopefully I have done all of that. Actually, there would probably be a doorway in here. Oh, look, spawns. Hello. Nice to see you. Welcome. But this is pretty much how this is going to be shaped. And I think with that, I'm going to get busy. Oh, well, looky who's in here. Yes, fortunately, I'm in creative, so we're in peaceful, and you don't bother me. But it does give the different ideas of where the floors are at and the size of the interior of the build. So where people are going to walk along and be able to see stuff. So I could make these much bigger, so if you were to be able to walk around this in a real gatehouse, everything would have to be much bigger, and I don't think that that's proportionally the right size for the area. Of course, if my colleagues with Neighbors United think otherwise, we can go ahead and always redo the design here, which is one of the nice things about doing it in creative, is I'm not going to waste all my time doing it in survival and gaining all the resources and then trying to box everything up and rebuild. So with that, I'm going to do some decorating, not decorating, I'm going to do more of the details along what the wall needs to be, and I will be back once that's done. Well, you can see I've added quite a bit of structural detail from where we were before. The side towers are much taller, so from where they stopped before, and we've gone ahead and added the matriculations up and the crenellations up on top of that. We've also added them to this area here, and we put a little bit of detail work, just because I wanted to see what it was going to look like. And the stones that I've used, the blocks that I've used, are not necessarily the final blocks, but they were just things for me to be able to determine, basically have a little bit of difference, to be able to stand back and see what it is that I've built, the different parts. So these are the matriculations, and they are called that. Well, I don't know why they're called that, but what they are is, you can see they're almost like murder holes that you can shoot down. So they are areas that are kind of pushed back out, and you can shoot down to be able to get at enemies that are right up against your wall for the most part. So those were created, and I did the same thing on the front of the walls. Now, I know a lot of times you'll see where people do them on both sides of the walls, but really on the back side of your wall is going to be your castle or your interiors, and what you really just want those on the front side. The back side, like you see what I've done here, that makes it a little bit different, is my back is the way up to the wall, or the way up to the tower interior. So that's kind of how that would be in a castle. So you wouldn't have those crenellations and matriculations on the back side, you would just have them on the front. Also included a couple of myrtle holes, and then this area is a little shoot out that comes out that also has a matriculation. You can stand out here. And I also did the little roofs on top of the towers. Well, I guess they're not little, they're quite tall. But this would also be good so that if you had arrows coming up and over, and maybe some large projectiles coming, that you're somewhat protected from that by those little house gates, or the rooftops. So that's pretty much the structural detail that I've included. The next piece is to do much more decorative detail. Now, some of the depth, the matriculations and the crenellations have added some of that depth so that we have more than just a flat wall, but everything else is still pretty flat. And some of my options are to either add to the width of the wall by adding decorations maybe down here where you're going to have more than just the one layer, because currently these are just one layer thick. The other option is to actually put the wall in here, and it decreases the size that we have on the interior. But again, by having a 2-depth wall instead of a 1-depth wall, you can add a lot more details that are oriented towards the depth of the item. And I think because I already built the matriculations and the crenellations, I will go ahead and probably just consume some of that interior. So the interior is going to actually be pretty tight compared to how I have it now. But we'll be able to add some decorative detail based on that. And finally, the blocks that I've used, I think I mentioned this already, the blocks that I've used will be changeable based on that. And so we'll see. I will bring you back once I've done some of that. Oh, I know what I was going to mention. The other thing is, after doing all of that and adding the height to these towers, these walls seem a little short. So I think I'm going to move them up by 1 block. I know it doesn't seem like it would do a lot of difference, but you'll see. I think it will make quite a difference to bring that up by 1 block on each side. We will keep the interior floor of the tower the same, and so people will step up to get to that next height in the on the wall. So anyway, I'm going to go and do some more detailing, and I will bring you back when that is done. So there it is, completely decorated the way I'd like it to be. And you can see a lot of the detail in the different variants of stone. But what you really can see is how I've added some of the buttresses along the front of the towers. I've also included slabs and stones and stairs and different types of textures so that we've textured throughout. I've decorated the interior, so each of the segments of the wall will have this little area. It has a slight bit of orange. It's got a decorative stair motif so that you can see that terracotta coming through. We've gone ahead and utilized some plants in there as well. And we've also put a roof over the walled area. And this one is a slanted roof, so it only slants in the one direction. And oops, I forgot to put the posts on the opposite side here. I've done it over here. So this has all of the posts in place to keep it supported. And so that is essentially our wall and our gate to the Neighbors United Harbor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to post a screenshot for my colleagues in Discord and have them come and take a look and make any changes that they want. But I think this turned out so much better than I even imagined it would look like. So I'm very, very pleased with how it looks and excited to start building our wall on the FrilCraft server. So with that, I think I'm done. This has been a lot of work, a lot of fun, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to leave a like. You can also subscribe and hit the notification bells in case you want to know when I randomly upload a video, because no, I don't have a schedule. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.